Erik with Full Mount MMA, joined today by Bare Knuckle Fighting President David Feldman. David, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a very busy time for you and your organization. You have a big fight coming up in London on August 20th. I know our subscribers are very excited about the matchup between Mike Perry and Michael Venom Page. You said in some interviews this wasn't the original matchup you had in mind for London, but you have to be pretty thrilled with how this card came together now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a very talked about main event. A lot of people in combat sports are talking about this. Kind of like we're saying it's the fight nobody knew that they wanted, right? And now that it's here, they're all talking about it. And I think that as it gets a little closer with a lot of the different interviews and pieces that we're putting out, I think people are going to get a lot more hype about this event.
I know a lot of people were surprised. Obviously, Mike Perry is under contract with BKFC, but Michael Venom Page has been signed to Bellator for many years now. Were they receptive to you guys taking him for this one-off fight? How hard was it to pull this off?
I mean, at first, in first discussion was, I don't think it makes sense. And then after that, it was very easy to get it done. Mike Hogan, the Scott Coker's right-hand man and the matchmaker over there, me and him just talked a few times and we got it done fairly easy. Good guy, good group over there, and great to be able to work with them.
What happened with the main event that you had previously before you got this great matchup?
One of the guys actually just took a boxing match, a big boxing match. So it was I can't mention his name only because I'm about to sign him for something else. But it was a huge boxing match over there, and he took that, and just things fell apart a little bit.
I understand. Well, luckily you were able to get a Bellator to agree to bring Michael Venom Page over. We're seeing a lot of UFC fighters. I've talked to a few myself that are upset that their UFC contracts won't allow them to pursue opportunities just like this. Do you think Bellator kind of setting this example for their fighters makes them more of an enticing option for MMA free agency?
I mean, I think it kind of depends what fighter it is and who they are, what guy or girl they are, and depending on where they are in their contract, and if this type of thing can help the company and help them grow. And I think that this was perfect timing for MVP coming off of that loss. It was perfect timing for him to get a little bit more notoriety outside of the Bellator world and into the bare knuckle world and really into the combat sports world all around. And I think it was just timing. If the timing lines up, then why not? But at the end of the day look, some of these organizations, and myself included, are sinking a lot of money into certain fighters to grow them in the organization, and then we wouldn't want them fighting outside the organization. So, it's kind of like who is the right fighter at the right time to do this. So it won't work for everybody, but I definitely think it could probably open some doors for some free agents and some some fighters that are under contract right now to be able to come over Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And the one thing we do is people talk about it because they go, wow, why are they fighting bare knuckle? Or wow, he's fighting bare knuckle. They talk about it. So because they talk about it, the media talks about it, social media talks about it, and then it blows up their profile. So I think it's a good thing.
Well, I know that, obviously you're a former fighter. I've listened to you in interviews before. You're a fight fan as well. Just from a fan's perspective, I know Michael Venom Page, he's about a 2-1 favorite right now, according to bookies. How do you expect this fight to look when they actually touch down on August 20th?
I'm really not 100% sure. I know you're going to get a Mike Perry that's coming forward. I don't know if you're going to get a MVP that's going to sit there and engage, or he's going to, move around and throw the missiles in from the outside. I don't know which MVP we're going to get. We know there's really only one Mike Perry to get, and that's a guy that comes forward and bangs it out. So I really don't know. I'm hoping that we get the guy that wants to engage and it's exciting and the crowd is on their feet and they're screaming. I'm picturing this great crowd in London, standing on their feet cheering for this fight and really making a lot of noise because they're going to exchange some great blows in bare knuckle. So that's what I'm hoping for. And who do you pick? Who do you like?
I mean, it's tough to look past MVP's, striking credentials, but I mean, Mike Perry can go in and knock anyone out at any time, I would think. So I don't necessarily agree with the odds, actually, because Mike Perry looked really good in this fight against Julian Lane in his first bare knuckle fight. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think. I know obviously
MVP was up to almost a 4-1 favorite. Now he's back down to a 2-1. So there is a lot of money going on Mike Perry now at this moment. So, look, as these things come out, training videos come out, who knows how it turns. But the good thing is in bare knuckle, especially, is when we get this close to a fight and we go, I really don't know who can win. That piques the interest in wanting to see the fight.
Yeah, of course, especially with upsets like Artem Lobov's fight against Paulie a couple of years ago. I mean, you really can't tell.
Funny, I just spoke to him today, and he will be in attendance, so that's a good thing.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is your first event in London, so congratulations on that. I was wondering what the sanctioning process is like, because bare knuckle is, at least here in the States, seems like a little bit challenging to get into some of the states to sanction these fights. What was that? How easy was that process for you in London?
Well, what we're doing in London is we're using the ISKA as a sanctioning body locally that the UK, I guess, regulatory body is familiar with. We also are bringing in Brian Dunn, the former president of the Association of Boxing Commissioners, and the Nebraska State Boxing Commissioners. We're bringing him over to oversee it as well. So because we have two of those layers on it, they're very receptive to what we're doing. Ironically, last week we just got they voted in recommendations for unified rules with the Association of Boxing Commissioners for bare knuckle fighting in the United States. So it was a really, really big step forward for the progression of regulation for this, I think, great sport of bare knuckle fighting.
And you guys are growing so rapidly, not just where you're putting on events, but your roster as well. I know this morning you guys announced that you had signed Sanctioning, the Muay Thai champion. Could you describe like what it means to you to get these like world-class fighters from other sports like Muay Thai, bringing in Michael Venom Page for these one-off fights? What does it mean for the growth of BKFC to be able to sign some of these names now?
It's amazing for the growth, but I think it speaks a lot about our organization, our PR team, and our marketing team, because these guys and girls aren't coming over to this organization if it's not beneficial to them, not just financially, but it has to also be beneficial to their profile. And if it's not benefiting them, they're not going to come over. And we're doing a lot to really expand their profile, expand their following and their notoriety. So I think with all those things combined with the nice payday, it's a great place to land with BKFC. And in turn, it helps promote the sport of bare knuckle and BKFC all around the world. I mean, we have Sanctioning now. We have Bukaw. Bukaw will fight on September 3rd. Sanctioning will fight the end of October, beginning of November. And then if those two win, who knows what's next? It could be a showdown that everybody's been trying to make for years and has never been able to make.
Well, and even I know in some interviews last week, you talked about the possibility of signing one of the biggest stars in combat sports, Nate Diaz, with his contract expiring with the UFC. How realistic of a possibility do you see that being?
We'll see. I mean, look, he has one fight left on his UFC contract. And, first and foremost, some people go, of course he's going to go to BKFC. They'll take, anybody into their career. That's not how this works. If Nate Diaz is going to bring a lot of notoriety, a lot of fanfare over to BKFC, but at the same time, he, all of our physicians, everybody thinks he's fit and ready to fight. Then who am I to say he's not? Now, on the other hand, if they go, wow, I don't know if he should be fighting, then maybe he shouldn't be fighting. But I mean, if he's sanctioned and regulated to fight in the state of Nevada, where he's probably going to end up fighting, or any other, or California, or wherever that fight may land, wherever he's going to fight, then I think that why wouldn't BKFC or any other organization for that matter be able to have Nate Diaz under their banner? I think Nate Diaz, the notoriety and like I said, popularity of Nate Diaz would be great for the sport. But again, it's only if he's fit and ready to roll. And if he is, then of course, I mean, I would be a fool to say no. And if he's not, then I'll be the first one to say no.
What do you think of the UFC matching him up with Khamzat Chimaev for his last fight on the contract?
I mean, it's a tough goodbye fight for him, right? I mean, it's tough. It's a tough fight. The guy's a killer. The guy can really fight. He's strong. He's tough. He comes forward. He wants to hurt people. And, Nate Diaz has a lot to prove right now, but I don't know, man, when you get that young lion in there, with a guy that doesn't have a lot left to prove, right? Nate Diaz doesn't have a lot left to prove, except that he's, he can still fight. I mean, he wants to show the fans that he can still fight, but, he's at the end of his road. certainly is getting towards the end of his road, and it's a tough fight for him. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I don't know if he doesn't have a great relationship with the UFC anymore, and that's why this is happening. But at the end of the day, is he's going to get paid. It's going to be a fight that the fans want to see, and see what happens.
It seems like as someone that comes more from the MMA side that, with the names that you guys sign, you guys are almost more involved in the MMA world than the boxing world, from my perspective. Like a lot of your big stars, from Paige Van Zant to Mike Perry to now Michael Venom Page, come from the MMA world. Why do you think that so many MMA fighters are coming over to bare knuckle fighting? And is that something that you have kind of like, do you go after them specifically, or do they more come to you?
No, I kind of wanted it to be the meeting ground where the MMA guy meets the boxer in bare knuckle. And, I call it the great equalizer, because you can ride the back of the head, you got the bare fist. So it kind of equalizes it with the boxer. And that being said, I mean, a lot of boxers are starting to get really, really interested in this. At first, it was like, what is this? It's just, it's taboo. It's not going to be around long. And now, we're growing our fan base. We're establishing ourselves around the world. And, we're showing the combat sports fans and athletes that we're going to be around for a long time. And with that being said, we are getting a lot of interest from the professional boxers now. But I think why we got the MMA fighters at first was because, they're used to getting hit with the elbow. They're used to getting hit with the knee. It's more alike a bare knuckle than it is with a glove on. So I don't, not necessarily the same impact that a glove is, but when they get hit with the sharp edge of an elbow or the knee or anything like that, I think it's more alike a bare knuckle punch than it is to get hit with the glove. So I think that's probably why at first. And also, we were paying them pretty good money compared to what they were getting paid. And now the boxers are expressing a lot of interest. I'm actually about to sign two former world champions, a male and a female. I'll sign them tomorrow, boxers. So, the boxers are definitely going to make their way here. And then I'm going to get my wish, where it is the middle ground. Can the boxer beat the MMA fighter in this sport? And, that's what I think intrigues. That's what sets me apart from MMA and sets me apart from boxing. Now I get a little bit of all the worlds, right? I get the boxing guys talking about it, I get the MMA guys talking about it. Now I get the Muay Thai guys talking about it. I've got all of combat sports talking about this, right? Like, for instance, you're a Muay Thai promotion, you got Muay Thai fans. You're an MMA promotion, you got MMA fans. You're a boxing promotion, you got boxing fans. We're bare knuckle fighting. We're the great middle ground, I like to call it, where all these different combat sports can collectively come in, and we can get the fan base from all these different sports. And that's why I really think the growth of bare knuckle, there's no end in sight for the growth of this, because we can pull fans from every different combat sport, unlike the other combat sports. I think that's what's going to give us a little bit of advantage as we're growing.
Yeah, you mentioned there that you're able to pay some of these superstars from other sports, comparable, if not better money to the sports that they come from. But it's actually a lot more affordable to be a bare knuckle fighting fan than it is to be a UFC or a boxing fan, for example. It's only $5 for a bare knuckle pay-per-view. How are you guys able to keep things so affordable for the fans, but also pay some of these superstars some pretty good purses?
Well, look, if we were in like a cash grab mode, we wouldn't be able to exist. We just wouldn't be around anymore. We're in the long term, the long road. We know that in 3 to 5 years, what this is going to look like for us when we build up this database and have 3-4 million monthly subscribers, then it all starts coming around. Then everything starts making sense for everybody. And that's why people will know then why we did it. But right now, I mean, we're actually we're on a balancing act of some shows we lose a little money, some shows we make a little money, but we're not getting killed. At the beginning, we lost, and now it's turning profitable. We're getting a lot of major sponsors, and our viewership is just growing crazy. Like one of the networks, which I'm not allowed to mention, but one of the networks that we started out with 90,000 fans our first event. We went to 360 fans our second event, and our third event we did almost 600,000 fans. That's like second most watched sport, really, combat sport in the world right now. And people don't know that, but they're going to know that because we're soon going to be able to put those numbers out and retain those sponsorship and get these mainstream sponsors. That's going to help take us to the next level and continue to pay these fighters, the kind of money that they deserve.
Absolutely. I know you have to go in a minute, so I just have one final question. I talked to Chad Mendez after his fight months ago in bare knuckle. And he was very excited at the prospect of you guys mentioning that you might be making a play for Francis Ngannou if he becomes a free agent. What would you have to say to people like Chad that are excited at this prospect? Is that something that you could see happening?
I mean, I would look. I mean, once he goes through his due diligence with the UFC, and I never want to interfere with anybody. UFC has been good to us. Bellator's been good to us. That's the one thing. Like we stay in our lane. We mind our own business, and that's why I think these other organizations are saying, "Yeah, okay, let's work with these guys." So as long as they go through their due diligence, and he's available, and he makes sense with the right fight. See, look, with him, it's got to be the right fight. It's not just him fighting anybody. It's him fighting the right fighter. Would make super sense for bare knuckle, and I have a couple of the right fighters in mind. So yeah, absolutely, we're going to make a bid for it. And I mean, who wouldn't be excited to see him take his gloves off and fight bare knuckle?
Yeah, of course. Well, David, you've been so generous with your time today. I wish you guys the best of luck. August 20th in London should be a great main event. I can't wait to watch it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, my man. If I could just plug, you can watch this event on the BKFC app. You can get it at the on the App Store, at Google Play, or at bkfc.com.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you again, David.
Thank you. Oh, man. Take care.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching this video. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to Full Man MMA. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you never miss an update from us.